Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Concealer Fest. And today I'm checking out the new release from e.l.f. This is the Hydrating Camo Concealer. Retails for $6. Currently on Ulta's website, it is getting 4.7 out of 5 stars with 27 reviews. You get 0.203 ounces of product. Comes in 19 different shades. The two that I've got are the lightest shade, which is Fair Rose, and then I've also got one of the next lightness to darkness shades, Light Peach. And they've got 19 different shades, and each shade has a warm, cool, and a neutral undertone to it, so that should be very flexible in terms of finding a color match for a good number of people. They describe this as camouflage those pesky spots and under eye circles with the e.l.f. Cosmetics Hydrating Camo Concealer, a full coverage, hydrating, long wear concealer featuring a large doe foot applicator to conceal, correct, contour, and highlight for flawless skin. The highly pigmented formula is lightweight with a satin finish that does not settle into fine lines or creases. Ideal for all skin types, but great for dry skin. It is vegan and cruelty-free because kindness is chic. I checked out the ingredients. Looks like a silicone-based concealer. It does have some sodium hyaluronate in it, which is good for retaining moisture, and some flower water. That looks to be about all of the excitement going on in here. Let's take a look at these shades swatched against a few others in my collection. Alrighty, let's swatch. First up is today's concealer, the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. The first shade is Porcelain, and the second swatch is the shade Light Peach. Third up, I've got from Makeup Revolution the Conceal and Define in shade C3. Fourth is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind in shade Fair. And last, I've got the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover in shade L200 Light Ivory. I'll use the clean end of a dampened Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge on one side. I have an EcoTools angled concealer brush for the other side. I have already applied my foundation. I'm filming this the same day that I'm testing the AOA Studios foundation, so go back and check that out if you missed it. Let's say, I think I'm going to go with the Light Peach shade because I think the lightest shade is going to be a little too light for me right about now. I haven't been highlighting my under eye quite as much. I don't want quite a skin tone match, but I want just barely lighter than a skin tone match. I used to go a full shade to 2 lower than my skin tone for my concealer, and I just feel like sometimes that accentuates my lines and things. So let's start with the sponge. This looks like a nice match for me. This blends out very nicely with a sponge. That was easy and smooth. I don't see any trouble with the sort of transition from where the foundation to the concealer goes. I see a little bit of purple still coming through here, so I'm just going to dab one more little dab right there. And let's see if we can build that up just a bit. We will see if that settles. Let's check the brush side. I think you do get better coverage right off the bat with the brush, which tends to be the case, but I do feel like I can see more of the seam between the foundation and the concealer, so I'm going to take my sponge and just kind of blend out just a little bit right there. Yeah, this side definitely has better coverage. I don't feel like I need to go back in. As this is drying down, I feel like it's not settling into my lines, but it is kind of separated along them. It's not sort of smoothing them over and stretching over them. It is kind of, I can still see them because the product isn't smoothing them out. So I feel like my lines are just a bit more visible than I would like them to be. I do like my concealer to not only camouflage my dark circles, but I like it to sort of give me a smoothness to my under eye that I'm naturally lacking. So we will see how that goes over time. Let's check the time. It is 1:51. I'm going to put the rest of my face on. I'll be right back. Okay, no additional issues with the concealer. The same thing is sort of happening. I did set my face with the Milani Prep Set and Glow powder. I did not explicitly take it up under my eyes. I would like to see if I can wear this concealer without setting it. It does not seem to be moving around at all, which is a good thing, and that's usually why I end up having to set a concealer. But it is still doing that thing where I feel like I can just see every single line because it hasn't smoothed them over. There's just kind of still a break in product along all of my fine lines. But at a distance, I don't think you can really see that too much. It does have very nice coverage in terms of covering up dark circles and evening out redness. So we'll see how this one wears. I will come back tonight and we will get a close-up look. 10:37 p.m. That puts us just about approaching the 9-hour mark. Let's take a look at how the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer held up. I think the coverage held up pretty well. Most of the hiding of dark circles is still in effect, which is good. The downside is I feel like the fine lines that were originally visible are still visible. It just kind of cemented those lines into place. And it's just because the product didn't smooth over them, it just kind of separated along them all along. And maybe that would be different if I set it with powder. The problem with powder is, especially in the winter on me, it makes my under eyes look very, very dry. I will say that this hydrating formula I do think is hydrating. I don't feel like my under eyes feel dry at all. I think they feel quite fine. But that accentuation of the fine lines under my eyes bothers me a little bit. It's just not quite as smoothing as I would like it to be. That said, I think it's definitely got potential to work for a lot of people, and I feel like I can probably even play around with it and get it to work for me. I think at a conversational distance it's not super obvious, the lines, it's just that up close they're visible. So if I had to give a grade to the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, much better than the regular camo on me, I'm going to go solid B. I think it's above average. I think if you have dry under eyes, it's definitely worth checking out. Be aware, you might have to deal with some visible fine lines if that's what you're dealing with under your eyes. So we're going to go solid B on the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, the Hydrating Edition. If you enjoy concealer reviews, if you'd like to see more, give me a thumbs up down below. Let me know in the comments which ones you would like to see next. I'm also hoping to get through a backlog of existing concealers from before I started this series. I just started doing official concealer reviews back over the summer in like June. So that spreadsheet is still growing as I add more to it. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.